Our agenda today is we are going to be, first of all, I'm going to introduce your host. I see Amber just arrived now. We're going to talk a little bit about the things that you need to know for your trip. And briefly touching on the arrival into Chania in Crete, excuse me, which is going to be your first stop on your trip. And then I'm not going to go through the itinerary in great detail. We'll just touch on a few of the highlights, some of the islands that you're stopping at. You will have no doubt gone through your pre-trip information kit that you will have gotten from us. So you'll have a better sense of what the day-by-day itinerary is, which may change a little bit here or there, and Amber will certainly let you know about that. And finally, we'll address any questions that you have. So please, I did get some questions emailed in, which I'll touch on. But if you think of anything during the course of this webinar, please set it aside and put it in that chat box, and we will address those questions at the end. So first of all, your amazing, wonderful, illustrious host, Amber, is here. Welcome, Amber. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can I hear
Hi.
you?
Hi. I thought I was on mute, so I wasn't talking. Hello.
Okay, all good. Perfect. Amber, you want to say a few words before we get into the rest of the webinar?
Sure. Yeah, everybody. I am so excited to be hosting our island hopping Greece. Um, I have hosted for Wheel and Anchor pretty much since the beginning of Wheel and Anchor. And so my job really is to just sweat the small stuff, to cross T's, dot I's, and make sure everything comes off without a hitch so you don't have to worry about it, so that you're really freed up just to have a super fantastic time. So looking forward to it.
Yep. And for those of you who maybe haven't traveled with us before, and I definitely see some names of some of our many return guests. Um, Amber is our host. So other companies call it call that person, that role, a tour manager or a tour escort. Our host is all of that and a whole lot more. But importantly, I think what's important to note is Amber is not the local guide, right? We have amazing local guides in all the stops along the way who will tell you about the history, the culture, all of those facts and figures that you can expect to get on a trip like this. Those are provided by our local guides. So if you ask Amber how old the Acropolis is, she's just going to look at you with a blank stare and say, I
Let
don't
me
know.
Google that for you. Yes.
Exactly. So I think that's just an important distinction, so you know what the role of our host is. But they are really are integral to ensuring that everybody has a wonderful time and that things go smoothly, as Amber said. Anything else we need to add to that?
I don't think so.
All righty, then let's get right into the pre-trip preparation. What do you need to know for a trip to Greece in September? Let's hope we cover everything off. But as I say, if you have anything pops up in your mind, do write it into that chat box so we can address it for you. Um, as long as you have your passport, that's pretty much it. Everything else I say is superfluous. You know the old saying, money, tickets, passport. Money is a credit card and tickets are e-tickets these days. So more importantly, if you have to have your phone, then that's probably the more important thing than anything else next to your passport. So do make sure that you know where it is and that it's currently valid. We put in here that it's suggested that it's valid 6 months beyond the return date. It's not, they're not so picky about that in Europe. Although the one other thing though is that ideally you should have two blank pages. I actually was reprimanded by a Swiss customs officer earlier this year for having an almost full passport, and then she sort of smirked and stamped my passport anyway. So if it's getting close to being full, that's another thing that you should certainly take into consideration. But at this point, I'm sure you're probably good to go. Make a copy of it. So at the very least, take your phone, scan the info page, just so that there is an additional copy of that information. God forbid that anything should happen to it. I can't recall in the course of Wheel and Anchor that anybody's lost their passport, but
Ooh, touch wood.
touch wood. So
Touch
yeah,
wood.
we have to be prepared for
That's
all
right.
the
It's
eventuality.
it's also super useful to have it on your phone because there's often times that a passport is required when you're making purchases,
Yeah.
when you're in Europe, and you can just show them the picture of the passport, and that will suffice as
Or
well.
even exchanging money sometimes. It'll come up in the odd cases where they'll be like, "Oh, can we see a copy of your passport?" And
Yeah.
that way, rather than, you keep the original document in a nice safe place and you just keep that copy on your phone, and that will suffice for most places. So
Mhm.
that's about all you need to know about that. Packing. So Amber is a packing queen, so she'll give you a little bit of a sense on what you should bring for this trip. Obviously, the weather is the big question, because you just don't know what it's going to be. It has the reputation of being super hot, but you never know, right? On our last group, they expected it to be super warm, and it was on the coolish side. So that's why, yeah, it's important to be variable. Anyway, Amber, maybe you want to elaborate.
100%. Well, so the big thing is layers. And so we likely will have cool mornings, cool evenings, and could possibly have a variety in between. So layers. That said, especially for this trip, we are on and off ferries, and you are handling your own luggage. Ferries at this time of year, the waters can be pretty dramatic, and you are gangplanking onto the ferry with your luggage, so to speak. So the big thing that you want to do is you want to sacrifice perhaps options and some fashion for super manageable luggage. You
Mhm.
always want to think about having one hand free so that you can hold a railing while you're getting on and off of ferries. And time again, especially in this trip, we hear people regretting overpacking. So be really thoughtful about the size of luggage, the weight of your luggage, and the sheer volume of clothes. Wheel and Anchor is smart casual. We are never, you do not need to dress and have a fashion show. We are not going to judge if we see the same pair of pants again and again. The truth is, nobody but you will notice. And so you really, really want to think about what you have in your luggage so that you're comfortable. Two pairs of shoes so that you have walking shoes that you can swap out. These are the kinds of things that you want to really be thinking about. You definitely need a small day pack. This trip is a lot of daytime walking, where we will be, with our packs for most of the day. Sunscreen, hats, always some kind of jacket or an umbrella. This time of year, there's not a ton of rain, but there can be rain, like 2 to 6 days a month in September can be rain. That could be half our trip, could be rain statistically. So you really just want to be ready and for that. I think that's pretty
Water
much it.
shoes, water shoes, maybe if somebody, and it's a beautiful time to swim in the
It
Mediterranean. There
is.
will definitely be opportunities. The beaches are sometimes sandy, but they're sometimes a bit rocky.
Yeah.
So I find, honestly, I bought my last pair of water shoes on Temu for 20 bucks, I think, and they're great. So getting a pair of water shoes, if you're planning to go swimming, and obviously swimwear, I think Amber mentioned that swimwear is good good thing to have, because when you see those beautiful blue waters of the Mediterranean, you're going to want to get in the water, particularly if it happens to be particularly warm. I think that's it. Yeah, and I think Amber really summed it all up with the size of the luggage. Sometimes, we see members that really come with just too much, and then they're regretting it halfway through the trip because they're
Yeah.
moving around.
Well, and the other thing about that, logistically, we're in European hotel rooms, which tend to be smaller. And so as soon as you're getting large, unruly suitcases in there, it's less comfortable for everyone. The other thing to note is we are in small hotels, and many of the hotels don't have elevators. So I'm going to be assisting you with your luggage in the event there's no porterage. So please be kind to me and my assistants and manage the size of your luggage that I'll be assisting you with.
Yeah, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah.
Not the least of which from Amber's perspective. Cool. Let's touch on money for a second. For those of you who travel with us, you probably heard this spiel a million times before. Credit cards are ubiquitous. You can use them everywhere, like really down to the smallest coffee. Credit cards are you can, yeah. So you don't really need a ton of cash. I don't recommend anybody trotting off to a bank in Canada trying to get euros. It's just not a pleasant experience, and you're not going to get a great exchange rate. Um, It's good to have some cash though. I mean, let's face it, we live in a generation where we still like to have our a little bit of cash in our pockets. So the best thing to do, honestly, if you don't have euros left over from the last trip, is to just, grab some at the first ATM you see at the airport or near the hotel. ATMs are also everywhere. But as I say, you really don't need much cash. So credit cards or the Wise card, which honestly we live and die by. Quite honestly, I mean, I don't use anything else outside of Canada other than the Wise card. It is just the best thing, and it's a great travel budgeting thing. So one of our members was saying to me the other day, she's like, "Yeah, I know. I set aside, whatever, $1,000 in spending money for the trip, and it's like with the Wise card, you can. It's like your declining balance of what you've got left over. You can see it right on your phone, so easy. You can switch it into euros, into 50 other currencies. Very handy tool. So again, that doesn't just come from us. Our members, a lot of them have adopted it and find that it's fantastic. If you don't have it, you can still order it today and probably get the physical card in time. And all the info is in that pre-trip information document. There's a simple link there you can click to order a copy of the Wise card, and you can get the digital card, which literally pops up on your phone. I use it there, and you can get that immediately, like within seconds. So again, very, very handy. Let's move on. Gratuities. Do you want to touch on this one, Amber? Do you want me to?
Sure. Yeah. So pretty much all gratuities for the trip are covered. So drivers, guides, any other services that we are provided on the trip. The only exception would be housekeeping in your room,
Mm,
and your transfer to and from the airport if we've made those arrangements for you and that driver. Generally, so in terms of the trip, that's really mostly taken care of. When you're out on your own, the general sort of rule, tips at bars and pubs are not particularly expected in Greece. Maybe like a round up to the nearest dollar. At restaurants with table service, that when you're dining on your own, around a 10% um, tip would be customary if the service was great, but double check because a lot of restaurants now are adding the service charges, and it may already be added. So the truth is, cash is king in Greece when it comes to tips. The staff
yeah.
really do prefer tips to be in cash, and some restaurants go as far as they will not let you leave a tip on when you're using the machine because of, I think it's because of being charged like service
The
fees and
merchant
things
fee.
and merchant
Yeah.
fees.
Yeah.
So this would be one of the examples of wanting to carry some cash for any tips when you're dining on your own.
Yeah.
Coffee shops, cafeteria style restaurants, if you're paying, they do not have the pre-programmed tips in there. So you're really not expected
Yeah.
to tip in those sort of scenarios at all. It's a little odd, in fact, when North Americans tip in a coffee shop in Europe.
Yeah. Exactly. They would see that as being a bit strange.
Yeah.
And also keep in mind that if you do want to put the tip on the card, which is again, it's not always possible. You need to let them know in advance. It's
In
not like at
advance.
home where they send you the slip and then you see, oh, fill in your tip.
Right.
You have to tell them in advance. Once they've charged the card, it's a one shot deal. So that's always good to know. And Amber will remind you on some of these things too. If you have questions when you get to Greece, so should be
Mhm.
no problem at all. Let's talk about mobile communications. We can't go anywhere without our phones, and nor should we actually, because having your phone with you when you're traveling is just damn handy.
Yeah.
So take it with you because that's how we communicate. And so Amber's going to tell you about Telegram, but let me just tell you about using your phone. Um, we do suggest more and more, to make it like enable your data. And you have three options. First option is you use your roaming plan from home, which means you don't need to do anything, but it's pricey. It's like 16, $17 a day, I think, in Canada these days.
Mhm.
Or you can pick up a physical SIM card, and you can do that pretty easily in Greece. But most people these days have smartphones that if you've got a new phone for the last couple of years, it will likely have an eSIM enabled. So you see the one in the picture here is a physical one. The eSIM is a digital version of that, and it's literally a code you plug in. There are a million eSIM providers out there, which is why we don't at the moment endorse any specific one. A lot of our members, Amber, I think you use Airolo
I
um,
have.
as an eSIM. I've just used one called Saily, Saily, provided excellent service, and I was in the middle of nowhere in Greenland. There are again a jillion options out there. So it's really something you need to Google if you want to get an eSIM card. And then, of course, the moment you land in country, the moment you land in Greece, you'll be hitting the ground running. So that's kind of the advantage of that. Why you need to be online, or why we strongly, strongly recommend you be online, is largely because of Telegram, and Amber will tell you all about that.
Yeah. Well, partly it's Telegram. It's also, we find that members are happier when they're connected and feel more secure wandering out on trips when they have evenings that are free or free days. Getting around, your maps then work. You're not reliant on Wi-Fi. And so generally we are seeing people that go the distance of fumbling around with a SIM card for being happier and enjoy it more. So it's why we're recommending it. Telegram is the communication tool that we use with Wheel and Anchor, and it's how I will be primarily disseminating information, or actually solely disseminating information other than my mouth to your ears. Telegram is an app that you put onto your device. And so even if you change out your SIM card, your Telegram will continue to work and nothing changes about it as long as you've downloaded it and set it up when you had your original SIM card in. So that's why we make it super clear you want to have Telegram installed and set up and reach out to me before you're leaving on the trip. Um, Telegram also works on Wi-Fi. So if you don't have a SIM card or you don't have data, Telegram will also like not update while you're not on Wi-Fi, but as soon as you go on Wi-Fi, all of your messages come in and everything that you missed and you can catch up. So if you ever really needed to reach out to me on Telegram, you didn't have data, you just pop onto Wi-Fi and you can actually send messages. The information for Telegram was sent out to you in the same email that this information that you received about the webinar is in. And so in there has instructions on how to set it up. It's super step by step. The big key is reach out to me and say hello and tell me that you're on the Greece trip. You and I want to be connected prior to you leaving on your trip. And the reason for that is if you have any flight delays or any interruptions, Telegram is how you're going to be able to reach out to me to let me know that that's happened so that I can update the hotel, I can update the transfer person that's picking you up, I can make all of those arrangements. And then for anybody that is arriving on day one and they come into the airport and Wheel and Anchor has arranged their transfer, if you can't find the driver, I'm the person you get in touch with. I have direct communication with your driver, and so I can facilitate you finding everybody that you need. So everybody, if you haven't reached out to me on Telegram, now is the time. So please do that. We also have a channel, which is where I'll be posting information, and we have a group chat where you can jump in and you can meet the people. You can start asking questions of each other, making some plans. It's a super, super fun way to sort of lead up to the trip and touch base with everybody so that we all know who each other are on the trip when we arrive.
Excellent. Perfect. I have nothing to add. I think Amber covered everything there.
Awesome.
Let's jump on quickly. Just the last topic of just to be aware of before we leave. Just in terms of what our health protocols all are, we obviously want everybody to be healthy and happy and all the rest of it throughout the trip. So just 3 points on that I want to make. First of all is if you should feel unwell, if you become unwell during the trip, particularly if you got a cough or a sneeze, showing any signs of symptoms, we ask please, please wear a mask. Go even bring one with you. You can buy them anywhere these days. You can buy them there too in the worst case, but pop one in there, have it with you. It's just common courtesy to your fellow members, because you're going to be traveling together on, small vehicles and on ferries and here and there. And so you want to really make sure that if you're not feeling well, that you're not going to infect your neighbor. So that's the first point. And also let Amber know, of course, because then she can sort of point you in the direction of the nearest pharmacy if that should be the case. But hopefully you'll not have that issue. Secondly, if you do happen to injure yourself, and listen, it does happen sometimes as we're busy running around or photoing or something, we stub our toe or we scrape our knee or whatever it happens to be. Please let us know, and we tend to err on the side of caution with any injuries that we will often suggest that you see a doctor or a clinic if there's anything that we think, oh, because we want you to go home in the same condition that when you arrived in. So that's really important. Don't be shy about it. It happens to everybody. I roll my ankle more oft times than I can think of. And so, yeah, we just want to make sure that you're well looked after. And finally, a minor point goes without saying that smoking is not allowed on anytime you're with the group. So feel free to, have a cigarette outside if you are someone that partakes, but otherwise not around other group members. And that's all. Um, so perfect. So and then here we're going to fast forward just under a month from now, and you're going to be flying over and arriving into Chania. What's always important is to keep note of your, uh, you know, um, uh, keep an eye on your emails or even on the apps if you are flying over on Air Canada, for example, in case there's a delay to your flight. The airlines are very proactive for the most part in advising if there's going to be a problem. Sometimes they already know if the aircraft that's coming in is the one that you're flying out on is delayed. And so that way you can be in touch with Amber if you do notice that there's going to be a delay of your connecting flight. If you're going to be 15 minutes late, we don't care. I mean, it's not that we don't care, but we'll know because we're monitoring the flight. But if you miss your connection in Frankfurt, Munich, wherever you're flying through, we won't know that unless you tell us. So that's important that then if there's going to be a problem with your arrival, missing a connection or something, that you let Amber know so that we can inform again the transfer company and not be searching for you when you aren't there. Um, so you'll get into Chania and you'll go through the usual immigration formalities, although you will be connecting somewhere at the very least in Athens. So you'll do immigration before and then just pick up your bags in Chania and then come out and meet your driver who will be waiting there holding a wheel and anchor sign or a sign with your name. Look for either and then they'll meet them. And if you don't find them right away, sometimes they're sort of hiding around the corner. They might be around the corner having a cigarette, but normally they're there with a big smiling face waiting for you to take you to the airport, to the hotel, excuse me. And if you don't find them within 10 or 15 minutes, again, that's why it'll be good to get online either through the airport Wi-Fi or if you already have an eSIM to let Amber know and she'll get a hold of that driver and make sure that you get connected.
Yeah.
So,
A-
and
And for
yeah,
everyone as they're coming in, you're welcome to send me a Telegram message and let me know that you're on the way. If I'm at the hotel, I'll definitely try to meet you in the lobby if you give
mm,
me a heads up. Sometimes it's hard to gauge. Some people take 2 or 3 hours from the airport, and some
yeah,
people
you
take
never
20
know.
minutes. And so if you give me a heads up that you're coming in, I'm always happy to hear from you. And then we'll try to meet you in the lobby as well upon arrival.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And keep in mind that in Greece and these parts, I mean, people English is spoken pretty much in all tourist places for
Mhm.
sure, in this day and age. And but there's a chance that you may end up with a transfer driver who doesn't speak English or doesn't speak much English. It does happen.
Mhm.
They sometimes some of these folks come from even other places outside of Greece to fill up the demand in the tourist season. So just do have some patience with that. If you end up having a driver that doesn't speak great English, another good reason to have an eSIM in your phone because then you can use Google Translate if you need to talk to your driver.
Yeah.
So just a little, yeah, fun bit of information there. So you'll arrive in the triple start. Just a quick overview, as I think you already know, you're starting off here in Chania, which is in the western part of the island of Crete, where you'll spend the first few days exploring all of this with this beautiful place, with the Venetian harbor and everything. You'll then go overland to Heraklion, visiting Knossos on the way, this incredible Minoan civilization. site. Then you'll get on your first ferry ride from Heraklion and be heading up to Santorini, where you'll spend a few days in this fabled island, and also some of the nearby spots as well, like Akrotiri and so on. And then once again by ferry for a few days on the island of Naxos, and then a short trip over to the nearby island of Paros as well. And then the final stop of Syros, which by some members' accounts was the most favored one of all the places
Mhm.
that they visited because it's the least touristy. But I think all of the islands are magical and wonderful, and you'll have an amazing experience. And of course, then you'll end up with a final night and a final farewell dinner in Athens. That will round out the trip. So, as I said, I'm not going to go through this in great detail. If you have questions about the itinerary, the things that you're going to see along the way, you're welcome to email one of our team members to make sure we get those questions answered. You're going to see everything from the beautiful forests and so on of Crete, and the sample all the fantastic Greek food. And when you eat food in Greece, it's so different when you just go to your sort of a Greek restaurant here. You're gonna really try some fantastic delicacies and spots. On Santorini, again, this is the most famous of Greek islands. So just be aware and patient with the crowds,
Yeah.
particularly, in Fira and the port when the cruise ships come in. I mean, it's just a zoo. It just is. Um, and you'll see why it's magical. It just can be very busy, but we've got time there. We're there in the evening, so the cruise ships will be gone. That's the magical hour when just the other guests, visitors will be there, and it's still busy. It's a busy place, but there's lots to Santorini. I think you'll enjoy it thoroughly. Naxos and Paros again. Every island in Greece obviously has tourists on them, but these ones, as you go along, less and less. And again, you look at the water there. Again, you're gonna love this trip because you're really gonna get a sense of what Greece and the Greek islands are all about, and ending up, of course, in Athens with the Parthenon there, and that incredible city. So, yeah, so that rounds out our presentation in terms of preparation for the trip. Now is a good chance to answer any questions, and I did get some from Brian. And so I'll address some of those now, but if you can think of anything else that comes up, we'll do our best to answer them. I'm talking about questions that are, of course, of general interest to the group as a whole. If you have anything specific to your booking or paperwork that you've gotten, the best thing to do is just drop an email to one of our team, whoever you last corresponded with, and they will make sure that they get those questions answered. Um, so Brian emailed in some questions here about clothing, and are there any occasions where it would be mandatory for men to wear long pants? And I love your anecdote that you'll look like a tourist if you're wearing shorts. You're not going to be the only one, Brian. You're all good there. So uh, I don't think there's any place where it's mandatory. You may feel more comfortable, and I would honestly bring a pair of slacks because, again, if you end up on a ferry ride on a day that happens to be cooler and you can get fall breezes over the Mediterranean, that can be a little on the chilly side. So,
Mhm.
but Amber, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not aware of anything where you must wear long pants.
There's no like, it's customary out of respect for men to wear
Yes.
pants if we're going into a Greek Orthodox church.
Yes. That would be the that
I-
would be the one thing.
Right. If you plan to attend a service, for example, in your free time, you would definitely wear pants to the service. You wouldn't wear shorts.
Right.
Um, Mandatory and no, I don't see anything in our itinerary. And if that changes, if the guide's like, oh my gosh, there's a new chandelier and we must go and see this, I'll let you know so that you'll
Yeah.
want to, you know, pack some pants to pop on if you're more comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, that pretty much answers the questions. Do all of the rooms have safes? All of them except for there's one hotel. The hotel in Syros does not have safes in room, like those little safety deposit boxes. So I don't honestly don't bring any valuables. I mean, the most valuable thing you should bring is your passport. So personally never almost never use a safe deposit, but I know some people like that, and that's totally fine. But just in the Hermes Hotel in Cerros, they don't have in-room safes. So if you do have something that you feel more comfortable depositing in a safe, you can put it in they have it at the reception, just like in the old days when there weren't in-room safes, they have that there. Um, Also a question about if rooms provide shampoo and conditioner. Yes, they do in all the hotels. Honestly, I don't use them. I find that generally they're not great quality. So if you have your favorite one, honestly, dollar store, little bottle, fill it up, bring your own stuff from home. I don't rely on the hotel stuff because I just don't find it's generally the best quality, but it is available in all the hotels. Laundry, which was asked as a question about if there are self-serve laundry facilities available. Not in the hotels, with the exception of the first hotel, they have laundry service, like a self-serve laundry in the hotel in Chania, but that's the first days. You're probably not going to need it then. The other hotels don't have they have laundry service, but not self-service. So, but you can find laundromats pretty much in walking distance from all of our hotels. So when you get to that point, or if you're sort of planning, because listen, I hear you, it's nice to go carry on only, and then you've got to, and it's summer, so you're, perspiring and so on. But we'll between Amber and our guide, we'll find you a laundromat if the need arises.
And generally, the front desk can also direct you to the
Yeah.
closest. So proximity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These guys aren't married to you using their in-hotel laundry services. I think for
Yeah.
them, it's more of a pain in the neck than anything.
Yeah.
So that's no problem. The question was also raised about Uber, if Uber operates. So you can get Uber in Athens and Santorini and Naxos, but they are not available in Chania or Syros. You just have regular taxis there. So yeah, Uber is definitely handy. And Athens is the place you'd probably be most apt to use it. And Santorini is a lot of walking, but there are places by all means there that you can call an Uber. And the last question I had here uh, as to whether we have any insight about the likelihood of an Air Canada strike. Officially, no, nobody has any insight. I have a number of friends that are, pilots and flight attendants with Air Canada. Nobody knows. They won't know until
Mhm.
they know. The indications seem to be within the media that both sides are preferring to not go, even though they did vote for a strike mandate, but they are really preferring to negotiate this one out. So it does seem unlikely, but you never know. And if they were, I think the date is the 16th of August, is when they would be able to take strike action. And, I just don't see it, anything coming up that's going to affect your trip, a month from now. But
Yeah.
that's all we can say.
That's really all we can say. And it's like literally last year's Greece trip was affected by the strike. So,
Yes, that's right.
and it was changing. So, having watched it last year, it was changing day to day to day to day. And the truth is, anyone that altered their plans too early kind of didn't come out ahead. So, I suggest that you hold anxiety until a couple of days ahead of time where we'll have a better idea if there's going to be some effects felt.
Yeah, yeah, precisely,
Yeah.
precisely. Kelly raised a question here. Do you need a visa? No, you don't need a visa for Greece. It's part of the EU. And all of the other documentation that they've been talking about for years has been deferred again until the end of next year. I mean, I don't know, who knows if it'll even happen. So you don't need any visa. Should you bring a beach towel? Yeah, personally, I like those camping towels, those small, compact ones, because a beach towel just takes up a lot of space.
So much
Uh,
space.
Hotels vary on whether they like you. None of the hotels that we're staying in are beach hotels. So they vary on whether they like you to take the towels out of the room. So when in doubt, yeah, bring one of those compact camping towels, quick dry. I find them super useful. And the weather's warm for the most part. You're not going to swim if it's not, so you tend to dry off real fast anyway. But I wouldn't bring a full on beach towel.
No.
That would
I
be
and if you are discreetly using your hotel towel to the beach, I don't think there's going to be a ton of complaints about that.
okay. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. How often has the Sunset Cruise been canceled? I'm not aware that it's been canceled ever.
Yeah, I don't think it has been in the fall. I maybe in the spring it may have once if there was the conditions weren't right, but I can't recall the fall ever having the
I
Sunset Cruise
I don't
canceled.
think so. The way it's not usually that the winds that would cause the cancellation don't usually pick up till well into October.
Yeah,
Or even November. So yeah, it doesn't. I wouldn't say it happens very often. I mean, never
hmm
say never, but I don't think so. I think you're good. You're going to get to see your sunset, and
that's it.
in the unlikely event that it would be canceled, Amber will find a place where there's a sunset.
We, yes, we will find the sunset.
You'll go on a sunset hunt. That can be a lot of fun. As I say, if there's any other questions, please drop a note. You can certainly drop a note to Melody if you haven't reached out to her before, or whoever the person you last corresponded with, and we'll make sure we get any of your questions answered. And have a fantastic time. Any closing words from you, Amber?
No, I am so looking forward to it. And just everybody should go on Telegram and reach out to me and say hello today.
Yeah, please do that. Yeah, get that out of the way, and then that way you're already set up. You don't have to think about it when you fly over.
Exactly.
All
Amazing.
right, good deal, everyone. Well, thanks again for joining us today. A copy of the webinar will be emailed to you, of course, the replay in case there's anything you want to check on, and for those that weren't able to join us today. And yeah, have a wonderful time. Take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you all again on the next go around.
See you
Okay,
soon.
see you soon. Bye bye.